welcome to everybody today. My name is Karen, and I want to give a special welcome to those viewers who may be new to our channel, and of course a warm welcome back to those who have been with us in the past. As always, today we're going to look at articles that were posted on the Oldish this past week. We're going to take a look at our top 7 articles, and in our Let's Talk About segment, we're going to talk about successful aging in place. Are you getting ready to age in place? Stay tuned. We'll help you do it a little bit better. We'll also look at stories from around the world of the Oldish, so please stay with us. So let's get started. This week on the Oldish, we published a number of, as always, interesting articles, starting with seniors rate sex as important to their quality of life. Of course it is. Cheers to National Wine Day. I don't know if you enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the day, but I certainly do, and there was apparently a national day dedicated to drinking wine. How good is that? Woman rescued after 70 hours stuck in a bathtub is another article that we published. This plays directly into the conversation that we're going to have in just a little while about successful aging in place. It could have ended very badly. It didn't. The lady is okay, but I'm sure she was very scared. High protein diet may give heart failure patients more time. So again, you know, in these diets, we're looking at a mashup of the DASH and Mediterranean diets, which seems to be the combination that works best, not only for all of us, but specifically for those of us as we age. The article that was published this morning is again something that plays into our discussion about successfully aging in place. Deaths from falls rising steadily among seniors. They have gone up 31% since 2007. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So, you know, you really need to take a look at that. Take a look at the article. It gives some tips and hints of things that you can do to fall-proof your environment, but always be aware of the things that you can advocate for yourself about to prevent injuries from falls. Okay, the 7 top articles this week. I'm just going to get rid of one of these screens. There we go. The 7 top articles this week. Karen, Kitty Hawk, thank you. We are. Yes, thank you very much for taking the time to comment, Karen. And if any of you have a comment or a question with regard to anything at all, the articles that we're discussing or the topic that we're on at the moment, please add it to the comments below this particular broadcast, and we will see it right here and give you a shout out. So, Karen, thanks a lot for taking the time. All right, our 7 top articles this week. Could a keto diet help reverse chronic illness? That was something that a lot of people were interested in. Chicken shots for knee pain. You know, it always hovers around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd spot, but it is in 2nd spot this week. Friends with benefits after 50. People are looking. FDA approves new treatment for age spots. As I have said before, you know, you can put Juvederm in the face, you can go and get facials, you can color your hair. The hands, they always tell the story. So now there is a treatment that is approved by the FDA. The stages of Alzheimer's disease is an article that was in, let me see, that is 5th spot. Our 6th spot goes to an article entitled Elderly at Greater Risk for Heel Pain. And our 7th article, seniors rate sex as important to their quality of life. So obviously this is important to a lot of people because it was well read. Okay, let's talk about the dangers of not preparing properly for aging in place. Much of our reporting on the Oldish has been around advocacy. Advocacy for yourself and advocacy for those you love who are aging. That could be a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor. It could be just about anybody that you care about and have a hand in protecting. Most people do want to age in place, and the good news is that most of us actually will age in place. Partly because there aren't enough long-term care spaces, but partly because we just want to. That's where we want to live, is in our own homes where we are comfortable. But there's a lot of preparation to be done in order for us to age in place successfully. The needs are constantly changing. So even when you make a plan, it's something that should be considered a living plan, very fluid as needs change all the time and they need monitoring and altering. So don't think you can just put a plan in place and then walk away and it's going to be okay. As we saw in the article about this lady who was stuck in the bathtub, that, as I said, could have had very dire consequences. It could have been prevented had the woman in question said to somebody, whether it was her family or her healthcare team, that getting in and out of the tub was becoming more of a challenge. That was her responsibility in this. Her family's responsibility in this, or her caregiver's responsibility, it may not be her family, would have been to ask these questions. And you shouldn't be shy about asking questions about the daily living functions that a person goes through, and especially if they live alone. Bathing is one of them, and if you know that they are bathing in a tub, ask the question and keep on asking it, because they could have installed grab bars and given her some training. Of course, with her clothes on, they could have shown her how to properly get in and out of the tub and use the grab bars. It's possible that the solution for her might have been to get a shower seat and put it into the tub, so that when she got into the tub, she was actually sitting on a seat instead of right down on the bottom of the tub, in which case she would need to have a handheld hose or shower wand, but that would have worked, and then she wouldn't have been stuck for, 70 hours in the bottom of that bathtub. And as you'll see in the article, she had water to drink from the tub. That was probably her saving grace. She didn't get dehydrated, but my goodness, that must have been a scary situation for her. So on all solutions, all challenges, there is an equal onus on the person to whom the care is being given and to their caregivers. Asking direct questions, making sure that you get direct answers, not the runaround, direct answers. And sometimes I know you would have to ask a question 2 or 3 times in 2 or 3 different ways to come to the actual truth of whatever the issue is. But do ask, because it's all about their safety, and presumably you all want the same thing, and that is for that individual to remain in their home. So fall and injury prevention is a key component, and the number of falls leading to deaths in seniors over the age of 65 increasing by 31% is a huge concern. It's a very, very big number. If you read the article, there are suggestions about things that you can do to fall-proof a home. You can also, and I highly recommend this all the time, get a membership to theoldish.com. The reason that you need a membership is because behind the firewall, there is the potential for you entering personal information, and it's nobody's business but yours. It doesn't cost a thing, but it gives you access to tools like a medication checklist, which is very important. But there's also a home safety quiz that you can do. You can go through room by room. There are also videos that were created by Dr. Vicki Scott out west in Canada, and she spent her career in fall and injury prevention. So get that membership and take a look at those very helpful components. Social isolation is something that needs to be looked at, because somebody who is socially isolated is more likely to become depressed, more likely to sit in a chair all the time, more likely to become weak and then fall. So that's something that needs to be looked after. Proper nutrition needs to be observed. Medication handling, back to the medication checklist, making sure that all the bills are paid. Because as somebody does acquire dementia and go through the stages of dementia, one of the things that you can look for is that the bills aren't just being left to sit. Because if they're being left to sit, of course, then we deal with situations where hydro is turned off, food is spoiled, there's no heat in the house. All of these things can happen so very quickly, and you think you're monitoring it, but if you're only checking in a couple of times a year, you may be a child who lives geographically far away. So that's one of the pieces you can put in place as well. Somebody local who's able to check in and make sure things are running smoothly. So that all needs constant monitoring. Keeping the household together with things like cutting the grass, shoveling the snow, making sure that the house is kept clean and the groceries are shopped for. These are all pieces that need looking after. House cleaning, making repairs, even little repairs. If there's a dripping tap, water is insidious, and if you leave water alone, it can become a bigger and a bigger and a bigger problem, could create mold, which this person is then breathing. I mean, you can you can play this out and see how something that appears to be a very small issue is actually a very large issue. Key to all of this, all of the preparation that you might think of doing, is the active and willing participation of the senior themselves. I know that very often they will be unwilling to bring issues forward because what they're afraid of is that somebody's going to go, okay, that's enough, into the home for you. That's not always going to be the case. In fact, it shouldn't usually be the case. Bringing issues forward early and working together as a team to find solutions, to access community resources, this is all key to being able to stay and age in place successfully. I know that, for instance, my maternal grandmother was asleep. She had fallen asleep on the couch on the main floor of her house. And this was a home that she had moved into with her husband the day that they were married. Over 50 years earlier, she had never lived anywhere else. Somebody rang the doorbell, wakened her from her sleep, and she leapt up off the couch, didn't notice that her leg had fallen asleep, and she fell and broke several things. She was taken to the hospital, and she never returned to that house again. She was not allowed to go back because it was a two-story house. The bedrooms were all upstairs. It couldn't be retrofitted, and she was never in that home again. So, you have to deal with these kinds of issues and possibilities. And in the case of somebody ringing a doorbell and a senior getting up quickly, rehearse for that. There is nothing so dire and so urgent that somebody should need to feel that they should rush for the door or rush for the telephone. So, put the plans in place, engage community resources, don't delay engaging new plans, and constantly be prepared to advocate. If it's you that is the aging senior, or if it is you who is a caregiver, advocate, 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 advocate. I cannot say it enough. Advocating is going to be the solution to so many of your issues. And it's going to keep us all living longer in our own homes, which is where we all want to be. Okay. Let's take a look now at around the world with the oldish. The University of Alberta has a new program called SHAPES, which stands for Supporting Healthy Aging by Peer Education and Support. It runs out of Edmonton, Alberta, and the idea is that 12 health coaches deliver 4 3-week modules focused on heart and bone health. The key to this is that the coaches themselves are aging seniors. So the participants are more likely to take advice and have open discussion with people who are of their own age group rather than a 20 or 30-year-old who may know their stuff, but probably isn't able to empathize quite the same way with the issues and problems that aging seniors experience. Makes a lot of sense to me. The Amazon Echo has been named one of the best senior-friendly devices, along with the RMS Grabber Reacher, Tile, which is a Bluetooth tracking device, the Emsom Car Cane, the iGuard Stove, which is an automatic stovetop shut-off device. And of course, I always want to point out to you that if you decide to purchase an Amazon Echo, in the setup process, make sure that you keep personal privacy and safety top of mind. Put all of those pieces into effect, the password protection and all of the vocal cues that can so often just be triggered by something you hear or that it hears on the TV. Senior Project Fresh in Charlevoix County is making sure that income-eligible seniors are getting better access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Their program includes a free nutrition counseling program and $20 in coupons that can be spent at local farmers markets and roadside stands. And as we have mentioned, according to the CDC, the fatal fall rate, I don't think before I said fatal, the fatal fall rate for people over the age of 65 has increased 31%. Read that article. It was just published half an hour ago on theoldish.com. The Dunbar Center in Onondaga County in New York is trying to combat the issue of loneliness in their senior population. They're offering exercise programs and meals, which they say are a big draw for seniors because cooking for one is boring. Good for you for figuring out the solution. There's always a carrot to dangle, right? Last but not least, just today, the American Cancer Society has come out with a recommendation that adults at average risk for colon and rectal cancer start their screening at 45. The previous screening recommendation was age 50. So those at higher risk, including African Americans, Alaska Natives, and those with a family history, need to start even earlier than that. So folks, 45. And it's not that tough. You know, you go to your family doctor, at least here in Ontario, this is what we do. We go to our family doctor. There is a little flat cardboard kit that you get, and you take poop samples for 3 days in a row, and you stick it back in the cardboard and you mail it off. And then the results come back to you that either you're good for another year or two, or you may need to see your doctor for further testing. But colon cancer, as we have said before on this program, is the most curable form of cancer. Again, you need to advocate for yourself and do it. We here at The Oldish are going to take a break for a couple of weeks and rejig some components. So for the next couple of weeks on Wednesday at noon, we won't be with you, but we'll be back. Don't worry. We're committed to this program. And as we close off this show today, then I want to tell you to have a very good couple of weeks. Look after one another. Please join us in 3 weeks' time on Wednesday at 12 noon. And in the meanwhile, please remember that it does indeed take a village to age a senior.